So me and the dad never really hit it off.
Nah, y'all definitely.
We had our 1-2, but the mother came to the office the following Monday, and we sat down and we had a conversation like, hey, these two kids made a bad decision, and we understand that, but I can almost assure you that there was no malice intended. So now here's a mother who stepped up and realized that this is nothing. But how many other kids go through this whole experience?
Man.
And have a negative experience through this whole
That's
thing?
the scary part. And I think sometimes because we so connected into our life, we can't even see the outside world. So like when you talk about different situations where I done seen a linebacker from California get accused of the same situation, but his life ended up way different than mine, where you have to actually spend time in jail. This is hard. You know, because you can't process this as a kid. Like, I think that's the biggest thing. Our mind's not developed enough to process what we're being accused of.
Now, and I'm glad you mentioned that right there. Now, here's the thing. Now, at this point right now, here's a father and a son that's going through this whole experience right now, right? Mm-hmm. How many other kids are going through this experience or going through that whole experience and don't have a father that can help navigate them through this whole... Now, you made it to the NFL. Mm-hmm. How many other kids are going through this whole process and don't have a father, whatever the case may be, or don't have the situation,
or have somebody that's leading you that have different type of intent for what they're trying to get accomplished?
Correct. And how many times that derails that whole journey?
I mean, I don't think we realize the thin line between making it and not making. You know, it says the thin line between love and hate. It's a thin line between making it and not making it. And some of these decisions that we made, decisions that people made, it helped trampoline us to a whole different atmosphere.
I mean, you made a comment to me the other day that and then I guess you can go even further. How many NFL players how many people have made it to the NFL?
So when you talk about people that actually suited up for the NFL, like played one game in the NFL arena, we're probably less than 50,000 people.
Less than 50,000?
Less than 50,000 people. If you understand the average size for the stadium, we can't even fit all the athletes that have played one game inside the stadium. So think about those numbers. You know, you talk about the 1%. The 1% really is like a 0.3%. So to make it to the promised land, to make it to the NFL, and it's so much stuff that comes with it that's outside of your control that it's truly God helping you in the midst of. And we're an example of that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of folks, they sit back, and there's a lot of parents, there's a lot of athletes that say, "Oh, I am going to make it to the NFL." I'm just that journey right there in itself. It's not the best athlete, the best.
It's nowhere close.
It's a whole. It's almost like a jigsaw puzzle, literally.
Yeah, it's nowhere close to the best athlete, definitely. Because I think in my journey, just from Florida to Maryland to Virginia to Louisiana, I done seen better athletes than me. I done seen people that I would be like, you should make it or he should make it. And unfortunately, because of life, because of unknown variables, things happen that's outside of our control. And what I hate about it is when you think about the age that these people are getting labeled. They haven't even hit 25 to actually fully develop their brain. So a lot of people are getting crucified or getting criticized about what they done did at 18, 19, or 20 without even a full process of what's going on or who's guiding them or what they're trying to get accomplished. And I think that's a huge thing that we don't talk about. Like, I was blessed to have a father that wanted to put in the work. A lot of people's fathers can't do what you did. They didn't have the opportunity to move the way you was able to move. You was able to take me from a Walkersville Middle School to a St. John's Catholic Prep and train from a St. John's Catholic Prep to a Baltimore, D.C. and go from a Baltimore to go to D.C. And I think that a lot of people don't realize the sacrifice that you made to instill in me the work ethic, the grind, and the grit to get where I was going. And that's things that you can't repeat.
Yeah, you can't. And again, the worst. And here's the thing. Here's a parent. Here's a dad. I guess the fortunate or the unfortunate part of that whole process was I was in the midst of a divorce. Mm-hmm. You know, and that was how would I put it? It was a very hurtful, a very trying divorce. At that point right now, I had
Kali and Nadia. I was just about to say, and that's the hardest thing that we don't talk about. I didn't mean to cut you off. But in the midst of that divorce, losing that connection to Kali and Nadia, you know what I mean? It's like seeing two people created, essentially, right? Like seeing y'all create life and then being ripped apart. That's a hard thing. And I never got to see your point of view from that, you know what I mean? Having to choose. Who wants to choose between their kids?
That, and you know, what was weird about that whole process was, you know, it bothers me that I had to make that decision. It was not an easy decision. You know, it was not an easy decision. It was, and I guess you're gonna have other people play Monday morning quarterback and tell me
everybody can tell what you should have did,
what I should have done, what I could have done, or whatever the case may be. And even it bothers me to this point right now where I don't have a relationship with Kali or Nadi. And I do love my kids. I love all of my kids. You know, I love Kali, I love Nadi. And I wasn't there. I wasn't there. And not being there, not because of, it wasn't a choice of mine. Because if it was my choice, you know, all my kids would be in the same house. I would be able to do what I do for you and all that. But unfortunately, we in this society that we live in, this America, and we can sit back with this America. But I had to make a decision at the time. My choices at the time was, you're with me right now. You were cast away from your mom, whatever she was going through at the time, right there, whatever relationship she was dealing with right at the time, she cast you out. So the choices was to have you go live with your grandmother, or have you come and live with me. And if I chose for you to come and live with me, I had to deal with consequences with, there's a strong possibility I'm losing my marriage. Now, these are the choices that were, and at that point right there, I knew my choices.
Did you know from the beginning your choices?
Yeah. I knew my choice because what I did was I had other friends that went through the same experience. And I saw I had a lot of friends that chose the opposite. They chose to hold on to the marriage.
Keep things peaceful.
I've always was the one that chose if everybody's running on that road right there,
I gotta go the opposite.
I'm going the opposite way.
Just because too many went the opposite way.
You know, I chose the opposite way. And when I look back, Lord knows, trust me, when I sit back and I say this, I love Nadi. I love Kali. Those are mine. There's always mine. But at that point in time, and again, at that time, the most important thing to me at that time was making sure that you were okay. And when I looked at it, I'm being I guess the left or right side of the brain, I'm not sure, the logical side of the brain. I think it's the right side of the brain. I was looking at logic. I need to be here for you because you are the closest to the finish line. Let me take care of you first, and then I can always go back and take care of Nadi and Kali if that's the case. So I did a logical decision because I couldn't lose you. Number one, you got my name, Ego.
That's a tough name now.
So I had to make that choice between you and my marriage. You know what I'm saying? And if I had to do it again, still the same decision.
Yeah, and that's tough because I look at it like I learned a lot from decisions you made in the midst of our journey, essentially, and I use a lot of things to compare to the midst of my journey with my son. And so the biggest thing that kind of similar situations that we go through, it's like you don't want to make those type of decisions again. You have kids that came from you. There's unconditional love across the board. But unfortunately, we're in a situation where we have to make decisions. And it's sad it had to go that way because, like I said, I love them to death also. I wanted to be a part of their journey. I tried to be a part of their journey, but sometimes things go different ways, and just got to accept that. And I think the biggest thing in these type of situations, understanding that you don't have the last say, I don't have the last say, and they don't have the last say. Mm-hmm. God has the last say. So if your intent is pure, God gonna be able to see that. But if it's not, He gonna be able to see the opposite too. And I think that's what I learned in my journey, especially with my son and his situation, is just understanding that everything I'm trying to do for him, I'm putting it to God first. Mm-hmm. And letting Him take control. Because that's the hardest thing for us to do. Like, we're so used to being grinders and people that can make it happen. To surrender to God and to let Him drive is the hardest thing at times. And I think it's just certain situations that I've seen where I'm just like, damn, if we give it to God, what could happen?
Yeah, if you look back through that decision making process, like you're saying, if I would have had to make that decision again, I felt that there was a disconnect. I lost access to Nadi and Kali, but I was able to take you to that promised land. You know what I'm saying? And so the sacrifices that you have to make. And so now my whole thought process was, okay, now that I have you here, we went through the first obstacle. And based on your perspective, coming from from Florida to Maryland from Walkersville, now you were at St. John's, which is the first time that you were in private school. Mm-hmm. How was that experience different from public school? Now you transgression into private school.
A whole different. First of all, you don't realize the type of capital and access to wealth that's in private school compared to public school.
Oh, please explain that to me.
In public school, we kind of all on the same playing ground. You may see one or two or three people that kind of exceeds the norm, but everybody's kind of playing the same game. In private school, man, it's like the norm is the abnormal. You may see one or two people that's below the poverty level. Everybody else got bread.
Really?
Got different situations, different access. So it was like a complete shocker, like just to see the confidence of a lot of these kids, the outbursts of the demand of how they wanted to be seen, heard, and respected. It was like different for me.
I can recall right now when we got you your scholarship offer. What's weird about it, I had the owner of the Marriott.
Jay Plumunda.
What was his name?
Plumunda. Jay Plumunda was my classmate.
Yeah, and his parents they actually paid for half of your scholarship offer.
Take that back. That was Evan Giagrande.
Giagrande's, yes.
The Plumundas was Roy Rogers.
Roy Rogers, yes, and they chipped in also. Mm-hmm. So at that point right there, when I told them, he said, well, hey, we can give you a scholarship offer, but you would have to come up with X amount. I was like, man, I'm not gonna come up with that. That's a lot of money. Go to the Hargrave. I mean, not the Hargrave. St. John's. I'm like, I don't want to say, well, we would get the owner of the Marriott and the, what you call it?
Roy Rogers.
Roy Rogers to supplement your income. I said, okay, well, whatever you guys got to do, But so at that point, I'm like, shit, they're going to pay for you to go to school?
Yeah, we talking about basketball at the time. A lot of people don't realize that. Like, we talking
basketball.
About basketball scholarship.
Well, Allen Iverson practice.
Yeah.
Basketball.
Nah, it was crazy, man. And that's what I said. There's a lot of things we never experienced before. So we talking about getting a scholarship to school. We going to public school. Ain't no scholarships in public school. So that was different for us. A Catholic school was different. Pulling up to a mansion with 6 trailers in the back, but this school cost X amount of dollars to go to was different. Like the whole works was different. But it was like one of the experiences that I wouldn't take back from the world because it helped shape my lenses of what I seen. And I think being able to have those experiences with different people, circumstances, situations helped me at LSU, helped me at Hargrave.
So now you at St. John's and you doing your thing at St. John's. How was that differ from Deltona and private school? As far as the educational system and that whole experience, how was that different? How do you compare and contrast?
I mean, it's hard to say, right? Because I didn't experience high school in Florida. I didn't experience the other side. I only experienced that in Maryland, so I can go off of what I seen and what I.
How was it different from Walkersville?
It was way different. I mean, from the uniform, from the getting up early, from the access to, I feel like at Walkersville, it was like we're living for the day. At St. John's, they knew they had tomorrow. And
really?
They knew they had tomorrow. They knew they was going somewhere different. Like, this wasn't their last stop. A lot of situations I'm looking at, where am I going next? That wasn't their concern.
So Walkersville was just like living for the day?
Living for the day. At St. John's, they knew they had tomorrow.
I never had that whole thought process.
Yeah, think about it. Think about the people I was playing with, who I'm around. I'm around Christian Harris. I'm around now Scott's an abnormal situation, obviously. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people, we're looking at today. At St. John's, it wasn't even about sports. They all knew they had a tomorrow coming. So it was a completely different shift in mindset and what they were thinking about versus what I was thinking about.
So now you're at St. John's right now, and you're doing your thing. Mm-hmm. You're balling out. How? Now you are now at this point right now. You are a prime athlete. I guess a D1. You had your D1 offer now, and now all of the attention, and when you start talking about attention, going into building that whole profile right there. I can recall we started going to all the camps and different. Now I can tell you right now, going to those camps, it was a cute thing, getting you out there, just showing, just getting out there. And at one certain point in time, I realized that, hold up, if I had a relationship with the Mr. Riley, he was a beat reporter. I don't know, you don't know him, but he was a beat reporter down at the Maryland Terrapins.
What was the other guy named too? It started Rivals.
That's right. That's what
you said. Riley. That's not his name. It was like
I think it's Riley.
It was like Mike Farland or something.
Mike Riley.
Was it Riley?
Yeah, Mike Riley.
He's the guy that started Rivals.
24/7.
Yeah, no, it was Rivals. Remember, Rivals was
Rivals, and it was 24/7.
And I forgot his name is Mike, so I can't think of his name at the time. But he's kind of the first one that put that bug in our ear,
right?
That if you come to these different events,
and then you can keep elevating.
Yes.
And when I realized that as we go through these events, then you're gonna continue to elevate on that chart.
Yeah.
At that point, you were zero. You were not even on the chart.
Nobody knew my name.
Nobody knew your name. And when you were that first event that you had down at at Virginia, some event at Virginia.
Yeah, I can't even
think. Coach, what's the name, Coach?
Yeah, it was like a Virginia top prospect something. Mm-hmm. It was right before the Maryland camp where I went against Ari Kwanjo and Cyrus Kwanjo.
Yes.
I remember the situation. But yeah, it was just like the top high school prospects literally coming into one arena and getting a chance to compete. Because what happened was, especially where we was at, because of the division we played in, we didn't play the public schools. We didn't play some of the top private schools, we was in our own division. So
you guys are the basketball program.
Yeah, and so we always had that, is he good enough or is it just because of the arena that he's playing in?
Correct. So my thing is, so now you are at St. John's, now you get national notoriety. The minute Illinois gave you that offer, Maryland came back automatically and gave you an offer.
Yeah, we went from 1 to like
Oklahoma
6.
Gave you an offer.
Yeah.
And Virginia gave you an offer. So now these offers are coming in. You and I never talked about this. What was going through your mind now all these offers to start coming in?
I mean, and I'm glad you said that because we got to touch on the first part. It's like the first offer came and then the punch in the gut came also.
Yeah, the rape allegation.
And so now I'm taking this punch in the gut. I want people to really comprehend it. And now I'm getting all these offers. So I can't even really appreciate what I'm getting because this punch in the gut got me sitting here thinking like, this means nothing at this point because I got to deal with this first. So we literally went from one offer on a ride back home to 6 offers.
Yeah, that's crazy as fuck.
It was crazy. We went from Illinois to Oklahoma to Maryland to North Carolina to, I think, a South Carolina, NC State, Wake Forest. It was like a domino effect.
That shit was crazy as fuck.
It was crazy. It was one of the most eye-opening things that I ever experienced because I was just like, I went from chasing something that I couldn't see, I didn't know how I felt, I didn't know what it looked like, to being able to attain, and not only attain, grasp more than I can ever expect. in the midst of getting punched in the gut. So it's like you got to think I'm like a person twisted up inside.
This is before all the NILs and all this bullshit right here.
If I was an NIL, boy.
If you were NIL, we would have cleaned up.
Yeah, absolutely, man. The way I'm looking at people getting paid right now, but they lucky I was before that time. I may have been at 5 different schools in 5 different years.
The free agent Deion with another. So my thing is, so now you have all these offers being thrown at you. Mm-hmm. You were at St. John's at the time right now. What are you going through as a athlete, as a player, as a student at St. John's? They're not used to, especially from a football standpoint, they're not used to this. The first. How was that for you?
We was the first. And I think if anybody been the first or something, you understand. It's like a quarter, right? You got the heads and you got the tails. So just as good as it was, you had the opposite also. And when you have that light, you don't understand what it brings, right? You look at it like, I can get this, that, or the third. But with that light comes unwanted things also. And I think at St. John's, just being able to grasp the attention, grab that national light, it was hard for a lot of people to accept that.
Go into a little more on that right there.
Think about it, right? So I'm a kid that's from Florida that's coming to a private school, and I'm getting all this attention that they haven't had in that field. Everybody's not proud of that, you know what I mean? Some people, they want to be the man in their field. I'm taking that attention to them. We were known for an academic school, so I'm taking that attention from the teachers. I couldn't process that at the time, but as much as I was gaining, I was losing at the same time.
So teachers had a lot of problems with that?
Absolutely. I mean,
not Menchka.
Yeah, I was about to say. And one teacher almost ended it for me, you know what I mean?
Really? Explain to that. How's that?
It was just a situation where, again, it was so new what was going on. Nobody could grasp how fast it was happening. So we went from, I may have to leave class once or twice a week because of coach or a scouts here, to every other day it's a West Virginia, a Notre Dame, a LSU, a Florida, a Alabama, Ohio State that's coming through our doors. So everybody wasn't really used to that. So it's like when you see certain cities, when these teams are coming, we're trying to make sure I can talk to these teams, have access to these scouts and stuff like that.
You know what's crazy as shit? I was at work and I got a phone call that says that, hey, Notre Dame is coming up, and Notre Dame flew, no, not Notre Dame.
Rutgers University.
Rutgers University. They flew a helicopter and landed in the middle of the field. Mm-hmm. Were you there that day?
Yeah.
Of course you was there. Explain to me that. How was that whole experience?
I think the biggest thing is the peer pressure that you deal with, right? It's one thing to see something that's abnormal, but to see how everybody else is looking at it is a whole different atmosphere. And so at that point, like, a lot of people don't talk about the fame and attention that you get from sports, right? Nobody tell you how to deal with that. So at that point, you got to imagine, I'm a kid, barely 17 years old. I got the weight of the world on my back, and I got coaches coming in Lamborghinis, helicopters, and all type of stuff. And I see the way my peers are reacting to this. It's like giving a kid a grenade and telling him don't throw the ball. Like, what do you expect to happen?
So now explain to me that whole day, that whole helicopter came by and landed on that campus. What was your whole take on that?
Oh, I'm that nigga. Hey, I'm gonna keep it simple. Like, hey, it was like one of those moments where I'm just like, damn, the fruits of my labor is paying off. Like, I went from unranked, not talked about, not even in the conversation, to nationally ranked number 13 in the overall country, 3 at my position. Like, wasn't too much you can tell me from a small school. We gotta think of St. John's. When you look at the setting, I have a mansion on one side, trailer parks in the back. Our weight room was the size of a goddamn a minivan. Like, let's just be honest. We had one squat machine, one bench machine. So when you think about the odds that to be able to make this type of noise, you know, like I said, it's nothing but God.
I guess that's Ego versus Ego. Let's go wait for the next episode right there.
Let's get it.
Let's get it.